Imagine moving halfway around the world, a place you've always dreamed of visiting, somewhere that's supposed to be safe, where you can meet new people, explore, make memories. For Lindsay Hawker, this wasn't just a dream, it was a reality. She was a 22-year-old British woman living in Japan, teaching English, living her best life, until she crossed paths with a man named Tatsuya Aashi. Little did she know agreeing to teach him would be the biggest mistake of her life. This is the story of Lindsay Hawker and her fateful encounter with a stranger that would ultimately end in tragedy. Hello there, people of the internet. I'm your host, Mint, and welcome to today's case study. If you like watching true crime documentaries, make sure to leave a like and subscribe as we'll be covering more case studies in the upcoming future. Now, without any further ado, let's dive into today's case. Lindsay Ann Hawker was born on December 30th, 1984, in England. She was the type of a girl who would lit up any room she entered. And I know you've heard this phrase before, but in Lindsay's case, this is true. Her friends and family always talk about how she was vibrant, caring, and seriously ambitious. Growing up, Lindsay excelled academically and was just fun. Someone you want to be around. Lindsay had this adventurous spirit, and after graduating from the University of Leeds with a degree in biology, she wanted to see more of the world. Japan was the mysterious and fascinating place she always wanted to visit. And for a young woman, Japan felt relatively safe, so she took a job teaching in English. English is a highly valued skill in Japan. Many Japanese people, from students to business professions, seek to learn or improve their English. It's basically for educational and career opportunities, and companies often prioritize employees who have English skills. Nova, on the other hand, created this demand, marketing itself as a modern and accessible way to learn English from native speakers in a convenient and casual setting. They attracted students who wanted to improve their conversation skills with native teachers. This was something they couldn't get through traditional Japanese schools. So, looking at this opportunity, Lindsay flew out in October 2006, moving halfway across the world. I mean, imagine, right? That feeling, total excitement, mixed with nervousness. But Lindsay settled into Tokyo's life quickly. She was teaching English, making friends, and learning the language. It was everything she'd hoped for. But then, just 6 months later, she'd be gone. In 2006, Lindsay Hawker moved to Tokyo to teach English with Nova, one of the largest language schools in Japan at the time. This was a big shift, and Japanese culture was different from England in almost every way. But for Lindsay, it was an exciting challenge. She was the type of a person who would adapt quickly, made friends, and wanted to immerse herself in the culture. Although Japan is known for its excellent public safety and hospitality, the language barrier can be intimidating for foreigners. Lindsay had been picking up the language slowly but surely, enough to communicate basic ideas and navigate through Tokyo. Her students and friends likely helped her learn more, but for expats, the language barrier remains a constant factor, influencing interactions and decision making. Japan places a strong emphasis on politeness, respect, and adequateness, which Lindsay would have experienced daily, from bowing as a greeting to understanding the unspoken rules in public spaces. Lindsay would be adjusting to this nuisance quite easily. Japanese society is known for being formal, and foreigners often take time to adjust to these subtle cues, which might be different from the more casual norms back home. Lindsay connected with other English teachers and expats, and she likely had a small circle of close friends who helped her navigate this new world. Foreign teachers in Japan often form a tight-knit communities to support each other, as teaching overseas can be isolating. Let's fast forward to March 20th, 2007. Lindsay is at this coffee shop after work when she notices a guy watching her. You know that feeling when someone is just staring at you constantly? Well, this someone eventually approached her. He tells her he's interested in learning English, and honestly, he's a bit awkward. He asks for her contact info, and Lindsay, being the friendly and polite person she is, agrees. Now, she could have easily brushed him off, right? But she didn't. She was the type of a person always giving others a chance. This man was Tatsuya Aashi. He was present, and he kept saying he wanted to learn English, so they arranged a session in a few days. In her mind, he was just another student, maybe a little eccentric, but nothing out of the ordinary. Lindsay and Ichihashi walk into his apartment. The building's quiet, it's the middle of the day. They go up to his unit and Lindsay follows him in. When she steps inside, she has no idea. She's walked into a trap. Born on January 5th, 1979, Tatsuya Ichihashi grew up in Chiba, Japan, a suburban area near Tokyo. I quickly want to apologize if I mispronounce the names, but he came from a relatively affluent family with both parents working in medical fields. His father was a doctor and his mother was a dentist, which allowed Ichihashi a comfortable upbringing. However, he did not pursue the similar careers and seemed to have trouble finding a direction in life. Those who knew Ichihashi described him as withdrawn, quiet person who didn't easily form connections with others. His affoolishness and introverted personality often set him apart, and he was known to be somewhat of a loner. Despite his reserved demeanor, Ichihashi was also described as physically imposing. Standing at around 6 feet tall, the combination of shyness and a powerful physical appearance gave him an unsettling aura to those who encountered him. As an adult, Ichihashi developed a fascination with fitness and physical strength. He spent a lot of time exercising, developing a lean and muscular build. Some accounts also suggest he was interested in Western women, which may have been a factor in his initial interest in Lindsay. However, Ichihashi had a history of struggling with social relationships and displayed odd behaviors, particularly with women, which hinted at deeper, more troubling issues. Ichihashi pursued Lindsay to go back to his apartment after the lessons, claiming he needed to pay her and that he would soon leave. Lindsay texted her boyfriend to let him know that she was safe. But unfortunately, this was the last communication she sent. Her willingness to trust him reflects the general sense of safety many expats feel in Japan, where violent crime is very rare. The next day, Lindsay doesn't show up for work. Her friends and colleagues are immediately worried. They call the police, who start an investigation, and it doesn't take long for them to trace her last known whereabouts. It was at Ichihashi's apartment. Police knock on Ichihashi's door, but when they arrive, he bolts, literally sprints out of the building. And in that chaotic moment, they lose him. They get inside in the apartment, hoping that maybe Lindsay just left her things there, or anything. What they find next. Inside his bathroom, Lindsay's body was discovered in a bathtub filled with sand. Investigators think that he tried to cover her with the sand to hide the smell, maybe even hoping to delay the discovery. Now, this is where it gets insane. Tatsuya Ichihashi is officially on the run for 2.5 years. He manages to evade police across Japan. And the thing is, he didn't just hide, he changed. He altered his appearance through multiple plastic surgeries, trying to erase his identity. Meanwhile, Lindsay's family is devastated. They fly to Japan, they hold press conferences, they plaster his face on billboards, and they beg the Japanese public for help. Imagine being Lindsay's parents, being in the foreign country where your daughter's killer is out there somewhere, hiding probably. They don't even speak the language, they don't even know the culture, but they do everything to make sure that Lindsay is not forgotten. For over 2 years, Ichihashi managed to avoid the capture by drastically changing his appearance and living off-grid. His time on the run revealed the willingness that he could go to extreme lengths to evade justice. Ichihashi underwent multiple, not just few, multiple cosmetic surgeries, some of which he attended himself to avoid recognition. He used aliases and worked odd jobs to survive, including on construction sites in various parts of Japan. Reports indicate that he altered his eyelids, nose, and lips, changed his facial structure, and frequently wore hats or masks to avoid being identified. During his time in hiding, Ichihashi kept an extremely low profile. He traveled across different cities, staying in cheap hotels and avoiding interactions, overall just trying to avoid by being in the spotlight. This life of isolation and fear was ultimately unsustainable, and his needs for money and shelter led him to make a few mistakes, which eventually helped the authorities to track him down. On November 10th, 2009, Tatsuya Ichihashi is finally caught. He's at a ferry terminal in Osaka trying to buy a ticket. Police arrest him, and just like that, the manhunt is over. When the authorities take Tatsuya Ichihashi to the custody, he admits on killing Lindsay. He confessed in details, describing exactly what he did. It's horrifying. The public is shocked and the world is watching. And for Lindsay's family, it's a small sense of justice, but it's not closure. Tatsuya Aashi trial began in 2011 and it was one of the most watched trials in Japan. He was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison. But during this trial, he released a book titled Until I Was Arrested, where he detailed his time on the run, his supposed remorse, and his twisted view of everything that happened. Lindsay Hawker's story isn't just a story about a crime. It's a reminder of the importance of safety for travelers. I'm not here to scare anyone, but Lindsay's case has taught a lot of people to trust their instincts, stay alert, and remember that safety always comes first. Lindsay's family has fought to raise awareness so that the young people, especially women traveling alone, are cautious. And with that, I've been your host, Min. If you like true crime documentaries, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Till then, stay safe, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.